Welcome everyone. We are back with Nicole about baggage today. This is the second part of this series. And I want to start off from last time when we talked about values and how values are an identity are defining your life and your results. But this time we're going into the baggage. So tell us, Nicole, how do you define baggage?
The way I define baggage is really and I actually see it visually like suitcases, right? It's like these suitcases that our ancestors and our parents put all their beliefs and their fears and their worries and all the messages that they want to, teach us. They put them in these big suitcases and they hand them over, hoping that, they're going to keep us safe. And very often this baggage was useful for them, was important to them in their time, but might not be relevant today anymore, might not be useful to us because we're different and we handle things differently. But we're sort of given these things. And, within that baggage, there might be some really good gems and good tips and good ideas, but it'll be mixed in with stuff that we really don't need. And just like a bunch of heavy suitcases that might hold us back from actually doing, experiencing the things that we want to experience, that we were meant to experience, because we're lugging these suitcases around. And often we don't even know what's in them. We don't realize what's in them. And that's what I call baggage. What do you understand under the word baggage?
I love, it's really specific how you said it. Well, to me, baggage is the past that seemed to control people. Conditioning that came from, yes, as you said, either from the environment, either from parents or whoever was an authority around to teach about life. Or baggage could be about events that felt very disempowering. And unfortunately, then there is certain amount of reactions that people are doing when there are certain ways, there's a stimuli from outside, and people become very reactive. And if it's coming to reaction, it's all to do with the past, with the baggage. Do you want to expand on this bit?
I think you've said it very well about the experience, and it's not really a question of whether the experience was from ancestors or how old the experience is. As you say, it can be in our own lifetime. We can create our own baggage, right? And usually for me, this baggage, at least the one that's being that's getting in the way, is stems from fear, some form of fear. And so we've somehow navigated a way to avoid being in a situation where that fear will come up. And I think the problem with the baggage from ancestors and, going back is often we don't even know where that fear stems from. We don't even know the source of it. And so we just have this behavior that was handed down to us around certain situations or things that we don't even know the connection to the fear that was initially there. So it's very difficult to undo it. So for me, for example, it's like an ancestral fear, which is very, very common, is the fear of abandonment, right? And the fear of abandonment is so present everywhere because if you go back 1 or 2 generations, they all had an event in their life where abandonment was almost normal. How many people lost their parents very early on, or they were removed from the tribe, from their group, because they did something that was not deemed acceptable. So they were thrown out of the house. They were, abandoned. And that fear is a very, very primal fear because it's about survival, right? It's a fear of not surviving. And so the behavior can have an impact like keeping secrets, right? Keeping secrets because we're afraid that we'll be banned if we expose these vulnerabilities or these things that we've done. It can be very, very multifaceted. So I find that fascinating because in the behavior, we might adopt certain behaviors and we don't even know where they're coming from. And just becoming aware of that is really, really interesting. So what do you do with your clients to bring up that awareness around baggage, around these things? Is there something that you do? What would you tell them is really useful to do?
Before I answer your question, I thought I share my two biggest ones, big old dinosaurs from my baggage that I had to do away with. And I did, someone helped me to find these, just for you to understand and put this into perspective. One of the biggest ones for me was fear of scarcity.
Mhm.
And this is going back generations, and have to work hard. That's what the voice was telling in my head. Now, I was born in Central Europe, and through communism and two world wars, there was actual scarcity of everything. So it was a real thing. And as you said, this imprint was carried into my life. Also, I've only seen hardworking people, in my childhood. So that's the only thing that I knew. People work day and night, 5, 6, 7 days a week, even my dad. So what I normally do when it comes to identifying, because I believe to resolve something first, it needs to be identified or bring awareness, and then really look at my simplified way of looking at it. And if you're watching this series, then ask yourself, what are the results in your life? What are the symptoms that seem really off the chart, not, let's say, normal, or not what you want? Because if you are creating your own results, please take responsibility, because that's the place for us to start, start you off in a new path. Is then clearly somehow you create those results, and then we just need to find the programming or the conditioning or that part of the baggage that is causing you to have certain symptoms or results in your life. How do you do it, Nicole? What's your process?
I think you put your finger on it about that awareness. If we're unaware, what we don't know, we can't change, right? So it is about knowing it. It doesn't always mean about finding the source. And I think very often we can get lost in trying to find the source. But when we've disconnected from the source, typically if it's something that's so old and ancient that we don't know where it came from, it gets tough to put our finger on it. And I think that's where often people who go into analysis and therapy can get lost down a rabbit hole and feel frustrated because they can't put their finger on it. So this is what I love about the coaching approach, is to see it just for the impact it has without knowing the source, and just saying, well, this is what's happening and I don't like it, right? Well, what do you want instead? Right? It's about saying, okay, well, if it's taking you there and you want to go somewhere else, right? First of all, define where that is that you want to go. And then start seeing, what you could change in your behavior already, just to make little shifts to start working in another direction. Because the thing is, this baggage leads to patterns. And I know the patterns is going to be our topic of next week, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But it's about breaking that pattern, isn't it? That subconscious pattern of always doing the same thing. And by becoming aware, we start saying, okay, I don't want to go there, but by doing this over and over again, I keep going to the same place, right? So start by defining, well, where do you want to go? And allow yourself the possibility to believe that going somewhere else is possible. That the moment that you gain awareness, even if you don't know how, just to play with the idea that another destination is possible. Because baggage doesn't define you. The way that you've been acting or behaving up to now doesn't define you. All that can change, but you have to first of all become aware, and then start thinking, okay, not useful, let's try something new and play. And sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, but just to have that open space of saying, I'm going to explore and play with it.
Amazing. My approach is actually finding the root, because what I found for a lot of people, their mind then settles down when they have the answers, because unfortunately this human mind loves to have an understanding and explanation of everything. So because we work with two minds, conscious mind and unconscious mind, unfortunately this conscious mind loves to know why and how things are changing and what's the key to change. So I love to have, my clients to find that answer, but it's just wonderful to have this conversation about the baggage itself, which is holding back probably a lot of people. And the big one is not being aware of what's in the baggage. And the baggage can be a big, heavy sack that people are just able to pull behind them. I'm very excited where we are going from here. Please drop us any questions or anything you want answers for, because we want to create engagement. And Nicole, would you want to share anything before the next time we meet?
No, I think it's great to have these conversations because we can explore different approaches. And it's true, everybody has their own approach, and they're all valid. They're all valid and valuable, and it's about what resonates with different people. And like you, happy to engage in a conversation, happy to explore, happy to see what other people think. Maybe other people have found other ways of dealing with baggage, which we've not addressed in this very short video, which would be fun to explore as well and have an exchange on. But I am looking forward to next week, where we go into patterns and explore how these different things of values and baggage trickle into the patterns and create these patterns, and how we can start exploring a way to break the pattern to go forward.
Wonderful, Nicole. Thanks very much. And we'll continue this conversation next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Enjoy your day.
you too. Bye.